So, Laura, welcome to Fun, Feisty, Fabulous.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be on with you.
We're so excited to have you. And on Jake's behalf, he's excited too. He left the room, but he'll be back.
Oh, no.
Because that's what he does. So tell me how you got to be a pet sitter out in LA.
Absolutely. So accidentally, I did not try to become a pet sitter. In fact, I'm pretty sure, that they didn't even have those careers when I was growing up. I grew up in the 80s and, nobody raised their hand and said, I'll be, working in the gig economy and using my smartphone to book jobs. And, we didn't see that coming. So that was an accident.
You grew up when I did, when the smartphone meant there was a smart person on the phone.
Right. Right. Yes, exactly. On the rotary phone.
Exactly. The really smart ones went and got that really long cord so you could move from one room to the next.
Oh my gosh. We had the longest cord. You could go to our neighbor's house with the cord. Like if you wanted to have a private conversation, you didn't want anyone hearing you would take the phone. It would be in the kitchen and you could go out the house into the neighbor's yard and you could have your private conversation. That was a mobile phone back then.
Exactly. Kids don't. You know what really got me when I started to think about it? There's a whole generation now that has never heard a busy tone.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, just absorb that for a minute. They've never heard a busy tone. They've never known of life before call waiting.
Oh, right. I know.
So let's all just take a moment of silence for the busy tone. Okay, so tell me, so you went out to LA. You didn't intend to be a pet sitter, but what happened?
Well, I came out to LA from Chicago. I was going to be a film and television makeup artist, and that's what I was doing in Chicago. And, successful enough where I thought now's a good time to go to LA. I'm enthusiastic. I've got some credentials, and this is going to be amazing. And I just got out to LA, and, I got fired from my job. I couldn't get another job. I was struggling. I was living in a studio apartment in Burbank and just like really starting to panic, that feeling when you think, oh my God, what's going to happen? Oh my God. And so I was working one day for a woman who was an actress who I happened to meet at a counter. I was working at Barney's, New York, and she said, oh, if you're a professional makeup artist, can you help me out and come to a set and help me with my makeup and I'll pay you a little extra money. And I said, okay. And well, I went on this lot and I did her makeup, and she had this adorable little dog with her. And she said, I'm going in this scene and I can't bring you on the set. You're not in the union. But could you just walk my dog, make sure he doesn't, poop in the trailer? And I said, yeah, of course. I love dogs. I will absolutely walk your dog. She said, I'll pay you a little bit. So I leashed up her dog and out I went walking around the lot. And out of this trailer, this big trailer, comes the comedian Paula Poundstone. And now I knew better than to look at a celebrity. So I'm like, oh my gosh, she's going to call me out. What are you doing here? Who are you? But she marches over to me and she's like, hey, what a cute dog. And I said, thank you. And I was being like very sort of like tight-lipped and kind of like not really engaging with her. She was really fawning over the dog, and the dog was so cute. And I was just kind of trying to get away from her. And she goes, hey, are you a professional dog walker? And I was like, oh, this is the lightning bolt. Yeah. I said, yeah, I sure am. And then I was like, all talkity talk. And she's like, really? Well, I've been looking for one. I've got a dog and, he's really not that great. And I'd love for someone to walk him. And I said, well, absolutely. Can I start today? I was like, yeah, that's perfect. And it just snowballed from there. It was completely organic. Met Paula, hired me to walk her dog, started walking her dog in her neighborhood. And then you know how neighbors are. They're, you know, you could call them nosy, but they're curious. And they were like, hey, is that a professional dog walker? And she comes every day. Your dog seems so happy. And, you know, how do I get a hold of her? Would she walk my dog too? Like, how's it work? And then just in that neighborhood, I started, you know, accumulating clients, and the word spread. I built a website and got business cards, and, you know, it was just all very organic. So no, I never really thought like this is a premeditated, you know, goal or a dream. It just was right place, right time. And God, it really was a godsend, truly.
That's wonderful.
I know, it's incredible. So tell me a pet sitter's tale. Tell me a tale.
Well, there's so many. I mean, and they're, you know, they all have the same common denominator. It's how much people love their dogs and their cats and their pets and their turtles and their fish, but especially our dogs. You know, they give us that unconditional love, and they're with us through so much.
And they want to be there, because sometimes cats seem like they don't want to be bothered. But your dog is like, bother me all the time. When you're not here to bother me, I miss you bothering me.
I know. You know, cats, I have taken care of a lot of cats, and what can I say about cats? Okay, one, I'm allergic to cats, so it's kind of like a one-strike thing. Like, I might think your kitty's really cute, but then I'm like, oh, but if it touches me, then, you know, I'm going to be taking the medications and the creams and the itchiness and the sneezing, and, you know, so I'm like not a cat person. And the other thing is, when I was a little girl, and this is a tale, but it's not about dogs. When I was a little girl, I was kind of sheltered. My parents were in Chicago, and we didn't have too many friends, but I did have a friend, and her name was May, and she was my best friend, and she lived in an apartment. And she asked my mom, she was very polite, she said, can Laura come over after school and hang out with me? My mom said, fine. Now, I had never seen a cat before. I know that sounds weird, but I just didn't. We always had dogs, and they didn't know anybody that had a cat. We were a cat neighborhood. So I went over to her apartment, and she had this gorgeous apartment, but she also had this cat, this big white cat that was sitting on like this cat furniture in the sun. It was so beautiful. And I didn't have any training or experience. She didn't say, don't touch the cat, you know, so I was like, oh my God, you know, a cat. And I was so excited. And I went over to it, and I just went to like, just pet it like so politely. Do you know that cat reached out and just clawed my face like in an instant? It just boom, clawed my face. Like, that's what you get for petting a cat.
Wow.
And it's so leisurely. It just went and just clawed my face. And I'll never forget, like, how it was traumatizing. Like, that's my first experience with the cat, and it pretty much attacked me. So since then, I'm like, oh, cats are great, but, you know, maybe someone else can watch them for you.
Right. I understand that. I had a similar experience. Yeah, I had a similar experience. My family got a cat when I was probably about 10 years old, and he was an outdoor cat, and we think that he developed like some kind of rabies or something, but he would climb in your lap, and then while you were petting him, he would turn around and look at you and then claw your face.
Oh no. Oof.
While you were petting him. And then, like, he started doing that, and then one time after that, we had a long flight of stairs in our home, and if he saw you coming down the stairs, he would hide until you got down there, and then he would jump out and hang on your clothes with his teeth and his claws.
Oh no.
And so that was I get it, because that was my first experience of having a cat, and so now now I don't have an affinity for cats. I prefer dogs. I don't like that sneakiness, and dogs are just more straightforward. You know what's going to happen, you know?
Yes, exactly. Right. You know, I feel like cats will turn on you, and like as a dog, like you can tell an aggressive dog. It's very rare that a dog has been happy-go-lucky and then it's boom, biting you.
Right.
You know, a cat, they're kind of like, they can be your friend one minute, and the next minute you touch them the wrong way, you look at them the wrong way. They're all over you. So yeah, I'm so I haven't been a big cat person. So that's one of my pet tales.
Wow. Let's talk about a dog pet tale.
Oh, I have so many dog tales. I love dogs. I love dogs so much, and finding this sort of career has been just so delightful and almost like not even working. Caring for the dogs has been just incredible. I have so many tales. I'm trying to think of one that would be especially enjoyable. Just about getting my own dog, Dexter. This is kind of a nice story. So when I started the business, I didn't have a dog. I'd come out to LA by myself. I was a makeup artist, and I wasn't thinking, oh, I'm practically living in my car. Great time to get a dog. So it was really the farthest thing from my mind. So once I started the dog walking and pet sitting business, people were always asking me, well, what about your own dog? Do you have a dog? And I'd say, oh, no, I'm too busy to have a dog. I'm busy taking care of your dog. So that's what I would turn it and say, like, I can't have a dog. I've got to take care of your dog. And people kind of got that. But I started working with rescues and different organizations to, help people save lives of homeless pets. And I worked with an organization, and I said to the lady who was the director, I said, if the right dog came along, I would be interested in the right dog. And so what's the right dog? I said, oh, I don't know. Oh, like a golden retriever. I'm thinking, a really good looking dog, a lab, something, really so fine. And then she said, okay, I'll keep an eye out for something. Well, she calls me one day and says, I have the right dog for you. And I'm like, okay. She's like, he's in the hospital right now. And I'm like, how is this the right dog? He got hit by a car. And if we don't have a home for him to go to, then he's not going to get the emergency surgery that he needs, because the vet says they'll do the surgery and they'll do a complimentary, but they don't want him being tossed around to different fosters. They want him to go to a home. So I said, I'll take him. I didn't even know what he looked like. Well, he gets better, and the director brings him to me, and I look out my window, and here is this little dog with the lampshade on his head, and it's just hanging. He is like a sack of bones, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the right dog. I can't believe this. So she comes in, and he looks awful, and he's got the satellite dish, and you can see all his ribs. And I was like, oh my God, is he going to make it? Oh yeah, he just needs love. Well, it turned out she was right. I mean, I've had Dexter for almost 14 years, and he was the right dog. You never know. So it wasn't the in my mind dog, but for me, he's small, he travels well, and he adores me. So he's just perfect.
Yeah. It's a really kismet thing when you find the right animal. The animal.
Well, they find you.
And, I had a dog, Marty. Marty and I had been together for like 14 years, and then Marty died. And I was like, okay, I don't want another dog. I can't go through this again. But after about 6 months, I would look at Marty's picture and be like, you tell me when it's time to get a dog. So this event came up, this adoption event, and I went to it, and they all had big dogs, but I like little dogs. But it happened to be in the same place where Marty used to get his hair cut, because Marty hated getting his hair cut. So I had to drive him across town to get it done. So I went inside to speak and say hello, and I mentioned that I was thinking about possibly getting another dog, and the woman said, check out this site, Forever Angels. And I said, okay. So I checked it out, and I saw this dog, and I was like, that's him. He was a black and white poodle mix. That I thought at the time. He ended up being a straight poodle, but he was a black and white poodle mix with a really cute underbite.
Oh, and he sounds adorable. I got to see pictures.
And his name was Toby. And the funny thing is, Marty's best friend was my dad's dog in Ohio, and his name was Toby. He was a black and white poodle mix with an underbite. And so I'm like, okay, Marty, you're telling me to get this dog. So I went to the foster home, And he came right up to me and sat on my lap. And the foster family was like, we've never seen a dog do this before. And it was almost as if Marty said to him, when this lady comes over, that's your owner. And he came over to the house. And the only thing is I had to change his name because in the 70s, you know, I'm African American, and the 70s Roots came out. And in Roots, there's this horrific scene where Kunta Kinte is getting beaten by his master, who's trying to change his name. And he keeps saying, your name is Toby. And he yells, Kunta Kinte, Toby. Kunta Kinte. I'm like, I can't have a dog named Toby. I can't.
No.
It's just wrong on every
You cannot.
level. I don't know how my dad let my little sister name it. I'm like, really? Have we forgotten Roots? Have we forgotten Roots? Anyway, so I changed his name to Jake, partly because I was watching a lot of Scandal at the time, and, you know, Scott Foley was kind of hot. But I named him Jake, and he's been with me ever since. I've had him for about 5 years, I think. So
it's easy to change a dog's name. They want to make it out like, oh, you can't change his name. When Dexter came to me, his name was Dover, and I said, Dover, like the fish? And she's like, well, you can change it. You know, we just have to call them something. But you know, he might not have made it at all. So we just wanted to give him a name. You can call him whatever you want. And I said, well, I'm going to change his name. Well, remember that show Dexter? Well, I had the TV guide right there on the coffee table, and it was a picture of that guy who played, you know, the murderous redheaded killer. And I was like, I'll call him Dexter. I was like, I'll keep the D, and I'll just change it from Dover to Dexter. And she was like, he won't mind. And I'm just, he's Dexter stuck. And it was great.
Yeah, I mean, because when they're rescue, who knows what their name was before?
Right.
Who knows
so
what their
true.
name was? But, okay, give me a story about a really pampered pooch.
Oh my gosh, I could tell you lady stories. I had a client once, okay, she lived in Malibu. She was very well-to-do, and she had a party poodle. So, you know, these little party poodles, they're bred into life to your specifications, and this dog knew it. But not only did he know it, but he had a Louis Vuitton trunk full of clothes that were made for him. And the wardrobe was enviable. Like, I just wished I had that trunk, number one. And then to fill it with custom tailored clothes that fit him perfectly. And this dog would pick out his clothes. Like, if you were like, come on, it's rainy. Oh no, I can't wear that yellow rain jacket. I need to wear the one with the stripes. Like, oh, he would pick his clothes. And if you did not like his clothes, he would not let you put them on him.
Okay, we just found a dog more pampered.
That should make you feel better, Karen. You don't do that to Jake, do you?
That made me feel a lot better. Jake has like one t-shirt that says "Only Child" that we got from PetSmart. You know, it's completely off the rack. You know, it's not custom made.
He sounds adorable. He sounds adorable. You know, Dexter doesn't have any clothes, but he does have a bow tie collar, because when I was writing the book, I was like, oh, I got to get a picture of me and Dexter. What would make Dexter look really cute and like distinguished? And I thought, well, I'll get him a bow tie collar. And so that's what I did. And he just wore it that one time for the picture. He never wears it around the house or anything, but he looks so adorable in it. And I thought that was so cute, but I've never tried dressing him. One Halloween, I tried to put a hot fudge sundae costume on him, and he did not go for it whatsoever. He was not having any of it. And I thought it'd be so cute because he's part wiener dog, and I thought, oh, he'd be so cute as a hot fudge sundae. But he was like, no. I draw the line at clothes.
You know, a couple Halloweens ago, I was gonna dress up as like an inmate. You know how they have that white and black striped suit?
Mm-hmm.
And Jake was going to be the policeman. So there's a policeman outfit where he's in a car. And then I don't know what happened. I didn't follow through with it. He doesn't really recognize holidays anyway.
He's not big on celebrating. Well, I know that's funny because people, especially my clients, would be like, oh, putting up Christmas stockings, or oh, giving their dog a birthday party, or oh, having their dog get married. And I'm like, oh, wait. Oh, yeah.
Stop. Somebody had a dog wedding.
Oh, they were big a couple of years ago. You couldn't go a summer without someone be like, I'm having a dog wedding. It's going to be great.
Oh, my goodness. I've never heard of that.
Do people do that outside of LA?
I don't know. I think they do it in New York, though. I think they do it in New York, too.
Okay, but if we did it here in Charlotte, North Carolina, people would be... she's been touched by an idiot. That's what they would say if they tried to do that here. And then I would get what I did not know was a bad thing till I moved down here. And Laura, you're from Chicago, so maybe you don't know either. But when someone says, well, bless your heart, that's not a positive thing. So I think
I know
if Jake, because Jake's got two girlfriends that live at the house on the corner, Scarlett, and I don't know what that other little yappy dog's name is, but he likes both of them. So whenever we go by there, I'm like, Jake, find your bitches. Which is actually the right use of the word, so it's not cussing.
Right.
So, which is why I'm like always enthusiastic to say, Jake's bitches live down here.
You know, that is so funny.
Is Jake a closet hoe, Karen?
I think
Jake's a ladies' man.
I think he might be, because he did do it real good with them. I mean, now when I got him, he was neutered, so maybe before he was neutered, he was a bit of a hoe. I know Marty was. Marty was a bit of a dog whore. I want to call him a man whore, but that wouldn't be.
I know. So what do you see as being like, what's the most rewarding part of it for you about dog walking and having that as a career?
For me, it's about the dogs. And, you know, I come and see the dog when, you know, the client's not there, their family's not there, they're all by their lonesome, you know, they don't have any access to the outside, they're maybe feeling anxious, they're bored, they're not, you know, being mentally or physically stimulated. And I think when I put my key in the door and I go through the door and they look up and they see it's me and they are overjoyed that they're going to go for a walk, it's the best feeling. You can't duplicate that. You know, you don't get that reaction from too many people. You know, I come home from work sometimes, my husband's looking at Facebook or whatever. I'm like, hey, hi, I'm home. Oh, you're posting. Okay, never mind. You're posting. I'll talk to you later. You know, I'm like, that's one like that. My guy's like, whoa, how you doing? What you doing? What's going on? How are you? Where you been? You know, like jumping around. He's so happy. Can't wait to just express how overjoyed he is by your very presence. So you get that day after day and time after time with all sorts of personalities. You know, every single dog has a different personality.
Yes,
and it all comes out when you walk them and you spend time with them. You know what they like. You know who their friends are. You know which ways they like to walk. You know what you can get them to do and what the expectation is. So without even a second thought, the most rewarding part is definitely the animals. And second to that is how the people tell me how really just so like rewarding it is for them that somebody's taking care of their pet, but also it gives them such peace of mind. I had a client, she was a really big attorney, and she had sent me this really nice card, and I just will never forget. It said, Laura, I couldn't do my job if you didn't do your job. And it just made me feel so good. It's just that powerful sense of like, I am giving back. I am helping out. I am making the lives of people and their pets better. And, really giving is receiving.
It really is. Now, what was I going to ask? I had a question. I would just totally.
I just wonder, it just seemed like, I hired, one time, my mom and I were flying to Georgia from Washington State, and, we didn't believe in putting my dog in kennels, so we hired a private sitter, and it was pretty costly, but it was worth it. She had a journal she kept, and she would tell us what he did that day, and just a whole bunch of different things, but it was pricey. So I feel like there's probably good money in your field too.
Oh, absolutely. People are amazed at how much I'm on the board at my son's school. And so we're doing, the annual fiesta and stuff. So everyone says, oh, we should get a professional a face painter. And I said, okay, well, I'm in charge of the budget. So I said, well, my friend says, I know this great professional face painter. She was at my kid's party. She's great. I said, well, okay, how much is she's $125 an hour. I said, $125 an hour? I'm in the wrong field, and we need her for 2 hours minimum. I said, how many kids can she do in an hour? I said, okay, you know what? See if she has any friends she can recommend. That's a crazy. Right. I was fall off my chair.
But it's so worth it. My mom and I were just very pleased with, the fact that she came, I think, twice or three times a day, and took him outside for a half hour each time and played with him. And when we got home, we could tell he had been well taken care of,
That's it. That's the goal. And, I'll tell you, it is, you can't put a value on it, because I had a client who hired a pet sitter before me, and she was a good price, and she, was kind of starting out. She didn't have too many recommendations, but they felt like, well, we're on a budget. What's the worst that can happen? Well, I'll tell you what happened. They went on their trip. They were only on their trip maybe 2 or 3 days. They could never get a hold of her. They tried the neighbors. They tried reaching her phone. And so they kind of lost their minds, and they just said, well, let's go back, because I can't relax. I don't know what's going on. I keep thinking the worst.
Right.
So they came home from their trip, and she was just like, oh, I thought I'd disconnect because, I'm just posted up on your couch. And they were like, no, you should have been communicating with us, because we ruined our trip. We used up our holiday days for work, and, this was a bad experience. So it really, you can't put a price tag on your own peace of mind. You really can't.
Speaking of putting a price tag on your own peace of mind, what do you think about the rise of companies like Wag and Rover?
So this is a great question, because I did partner with Wag and Rover both initially when they first came out a few years ago, the gig economy, and it's on demand. So especially with Wag, they said, hey, we know your business model is one-on-one private walks. And I always meet with my clients first. I mean, I find it's for my safety, it's for the pet safety, it's for the client. I can't imagine just going to someone's house and using a key box, and who knows what's behind the door. I wouldn't do that. But I thought, I'm gonna know what the competition is about. I'm gonna see what that's all about. So on-demand dog walking, 2 thoughts. 1, it wouldn't work for me and my dog, because my dog can be aggressive to strangers. And 2, it's generational. So when I try to tell the clients that are in my demographic, okay, you want to use an on-demand dog walking. Oh no, Laura, I'm not going to use an on-demand. I need to know them. They need to come to the house. I need to vet them. I need to meet them. I'm not comfortable with it. No. But millennials, people who are millennials, they use it. They've embraced it, because they're like that generation where everything's on demand.
And
everything's on demand.
And they don't seem to me to need that relationship as much.
Right. They don't need the relationship. So I do think that it has its place. I hear, some really not so great stories about things that can go wrong. But listen, that stuff I think is an anomaly. I think for the most part that those apps are doing very good. I do see that they receive a boatload of venture capital, and I don't think they're going away anytime soon. So it has a place. It has a place. I just think, my generation and even older generations, I don't think that's the way that they operate. I don't think they're comfortable with that model. So I think millennials and younger, yes, but for, maybe myself, no.
Yeah, I use Wag sometimes just for the peace of mind. If I'm working 9 to 5, I'm gone a long time. So I might have them, especially if I'm doing something after work and I'm not going to have time to come home. So I haven't had any bad experiences, but I can see what you're saying. Your clientele are paying for the experience, the connection, and everything that comes with it. Whereas when you're hiring Wag, you're hiring somebody to walk your dog. You know what I mean?
Convenience.
You're not hiring for that relationship. Hey, Laura's going to come by and look after Jake. I know Laura. I know Jake knows Laura. This is going to be a good thing. Now with Wag, you can, if you do it on a regular basis, get the same person. But I can see what you're saying about a certain demographic wanting that connection, needing that connection.
Yes, and to your point, maybe you can get the same person or maybe you don't. But the model that my business is sort of based on is that one-on-one private walk. We offer so much more than the dog walking.
Right.
So, for instance, if a Wag Walker came to your house and there were some, let's say, boxes from Amazon on your doorstep, would they bring them in? Would that be something they would just do or no? I don't know. But like if I went to my client's house and she's got Amazon packages sitting there, I bring them in.
Right.
When it's, the fall and it's going to be dark when I know she gets home, I put her outdoor porch light on. I drag her cans in when the garbage day is. I keep an eye on the things in her house so that I'm there every day. I know the house. I know the dog. I was pet sitting for somebody once. I went to their house and she had a puppy and, there was people breaking in upstairs. And sure enough, when I walked in, when I walked in, I turned to the right, she had the staircase, and I saw this guy run from where her office would have been across the way into her master bedroom with a bunch of stuff in his hand. Like it was a stand-up jewelry box and some purses over it. And I was like, oh my God. And he saw me and he continued to run into the other room. Well, now this is the funny part. She had a puppy. And her puppy was being crate trained and the puppy was in the kitchen. That was like against the far wall. So I would have had to keep running through the house to the kitchen, but I could see the puppy sitting there. And I was like, there's obviously a burglar in the house. Should I try and get the puppy or should I just go outside and call the police? So I was like, get the puppy, call the police. And I was like, get the puppy, call the police. And I was like, I'll call the police. And I ran outside the house. And I ran outside the house. I ran down the street and I got on my phone and I'm like, there's a break-in right now, 911. And they caught the guy. I really did feel bad that I couldn't go get the puppy first, but he was fine. But I was like, right place, right time. I mean, if I hadn't walked in at that moment, that guy would have robbed her blind.
Wow. That is an incredible story. Incredible. But I could talk to you all day, Laura, about that, but it's time to walk Jake. So
I get it. I totally get it.
And he's quite demanding. So I will
I know it.
Send you some pictures of Jake just so that you know what we're talking about. And people looking at the show art, that's Jake. So that I'm going to end the show the way I always do by telling you, yes, you dear listener, not listener, because that's not a word. But I'm going to tell you, dear listener, to never, ever, ever let anyone dull your sparkle. Until next time.